All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, East 5th, next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get on board.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
We've got Tom Twohig and Tommy Twohig. Gentlemen, happy Star Wars Day, and thanks for coming in, man. It's awesome.
Hello there. Thank you for having us.
All right, let's do origin stories. Let's start with you, Tom. Did you grow up here in Erie, or did you at some point move in? Okay.
So I'm actually fake Hawaiian. I was born in Hawaii. My dad was in the Marines.
Oh, okay, so you literally were born in
Yes.
Hawaii.
And then
That's wild, yeah.
Spent a few years in Southern California as he was stationed there as well, and came to Erie about I was around 8 years old, I suppose.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I've been in Erie pretty much ever since, except when I was away in the military myself.
So you were a Marine as well.
I was, which, by the way, just a side note, if I sound a bit nasally, I'm still fighting the cooties there a little bit.
All right, so what's the prop? Because I would never do the shout out to Marines, but you go ahead and do it.
Yeah, Semper Fi, Devil Dogs.
All right, there you go. Tom, of course, you grew up here. Tom, the third here. So tell us a little bit about you coming up.
Yeah, so I am Erie native, born and raised. As far as my upbringing, I went to Erie City School District schools for elementary school and for high school. I graduate from Collegiate Academy. Went on to go to get my criminal justice bachelor's at Mercyhurst University. So local boy, from day one. So love Erie.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the what we're talking about, we just kind of want to capture the Star Wars subculture. Is that an accurate way to approach it, do you think?
It's a lifestyle.
A lifestyle.
I was thinking about, sitting down with you today, and I was thinking, I know that there's only time to scratch the surface,
right?
But there are so many black holes of rabbit holes that could be fallen into. If we stumble into one, please feel free to rescue us.
To pull you out of the well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll just start going and we won't stop.
I think we need to put this into buckets, don't you think?
That sounds good.
So, one of the buckets is just the movies and the Hollywood stuff itself. Mm-hmm. Then I think another bucket is the whole collection part of this.
Mm.
Yes.
And then another bucket is the kind of... this is going to sound like I'm swearing at you, but like the cosplay, the actual performance, when you go, I mean, what do you guys call that? What's the proper
You could
term?
say cosplay.
Can you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was insulting or not.
No.
But
if you said furry, that might be something. We don't do that.
like Chewbacca or something.
Yeah,
I guess that's walking the line, isn't it? Yeah.
It's walking the
It's
line.
a gray area. There.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I want to make sure I get this right. I got the Hollywood, I got the collections, I got the cosplay, and then the fourth one would be the media, and I want to start there because, Tom, you have a very extensive media background when it comes to Star Wars. So talk about that.
Yeah, you mean like my stuff that I do?
Yeah, your Blitz deal.
So I am in the YouTube side of things mostly. I have a YouTube channel called Blitz Transmissions. It just really stems from my passion for the franchise. And what's interesting is there's a lot of people my age, mostly people in their 20s to 30s, that grew up with the prequel trilogy in the 2000s, that have kind of come back around, whether it be with the collecting focus or the media focus. I kind of do both, where I do product stuff. I talk about, Hasbro products and things of that nature. And I also do a weekly podcast where I just talk general Star Wars. Or sometimes if there's like a current, almost like a hot button topic going on, I'll kind of make like my own opinion piece and throw that out on the internet. And that's kind of like what really gains the most traction right now online. People like to talk about more the nuance of Star Wars, whereas 15, 20 years ago it was more like did you know videos or lore videos, whereas now a lot of people are talking about who's getting cast for what role, what does this, what's the nuance of what this script story beat is, things like that.
So, Tom, are you surprised at how, when we were kids, and again, you're a little younger than I am. My first Star Wars was in 1977. I was 15 and watched the original, and we were agog by it. By the time 1980 Empire Strikes Back, I saw that movie 8 times at the Mill Creek Mall Cinema. Respect. We were overwhelmed by Revenge, and so, but to think that it is an active, living being, living ecosystem, living universe, a cinematic universe, even today, that would have never occurred to us.
No, it's very interesting. It actually became a part of our culture. It's not just a show, some books, a couple movies. It's something that, so people that are Tommy's age, friends of his, professionals in the fields, for example, the people that are trying to make Star Wars media now grew up with Star Wars. It's it's the reason they got into entertainment and storytelling and filmmaking and writing. When we were kids, when I was a kid, it was a fun thing. It was a catalyst that brought the neighborhood kids together to play a single theme, and then have creative play under this theme. Now it's
we would buy a figurine and play with it.
Yes. I try to tell Tommy to all of his millennial and Gen Zer buddies, there was a time when neighborhood kids actually went to one of the porches in the neighborhood and played with action figures.
Right.
And we made up our own stories and all that, But and actually, so that whole those wonderful memories that I had as a kid playing with those action figures, making up stories and just being creative and playing off of one another as we improv what's happening next, and my character shot yours, no he didn't, he missed. I actually passed all of that along onto Tommy because I'm a recovering collector. I had piles. I still have piles of opened action figures.
Do you really?
So the two of us would play, and we would have these epic battles with one another. And what I was doing was reliving those great times I had as a young child, playing with those toys. And then that would segue into the collecting conversation, obviously. Right. But I don't know if we're ready to go there yet.
We won't go there just yet. But the idea that because there's social media, because of things like the podcast and the YouTube channel or something, you're able to be a critic. What is it? Kathleen Kennedy what does she run?
She's the president of Lucasfilm.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Some people consider her the devil.
I was going to say, she takes so much shade on social, right? She's getting hammered
all the time. all the
Right?
time. But that's just the nature of the toxicity of the internet right now. Is every fandom has that one scapegoat that they point to say that they're ruining a franchise or they're ruining this and ruining that. But I think with Star Wars, what's unique is that it's generational. I don't know another franchise that has flourished generation to generation the way that Star Wars has. And one thing that I tell people that are, there's a lot of people that don't like the newer movies or the newer shows.
Right,
I tell a lot of those people that that never will take away from the stuff that you do enjoy from when you grew up. That nothing that comes out now can ruin what you got to experience when you were a kid, because that can never be changed.
Right. That makes a lot of sense to me. So tell me about what does it take for you to do like a YouTube episode or one of your podcasts? Are you doing research all week long?
Yeah. So on top of my full-time job that I have as my career, YouTube is literally social media in general is like a 24/7 job. I am constantly moving my schedule around and collaborating with other channels, collaborating with other people all over the world. You're constantly having to pay attention to certain people because there's people that have leaks and there's people that have rumors, and you have to figure out how to get into those closed circles of the internet so that you can then go back to your channel and accurately report that information to your smaller
So you're
audience.
building sources within Lucasfilm and things like that?
Maybe.
Okay, I
know people that are in, the toy companies that I talk to, and there are people that I've become friends with that work directly with Lucasfilm, and that's part of it. That networking. It's a constant, sometimes very exhausting process. So you have to be ready to be on and be in character.
What are your viewers asking you to do? What do they want from you?
They are looking for just entertainment. They want to talk about Star Wars. So I a lot of times I'll open up I'll put it
So it doesn't always have to be serious.
No.
Hey, the latest episode had so many thousand views on Disney Plus. They don't really care about that.
No, they want to talk more about what does this scene mean? For our context in the United States right now, or what is this? Maybe what was the nuance behind this decision that was made? Maybe an actor got fired. How did that affect the next 3 years of the story that was already written out? Well, now this actor got fired. So how did this? You kind of connect the dots after the fact. Okay, 3 years later, this thing from this show got moved and dropped into this other show when originally, before that actor got fired, it wasn't supposed to be that way.
Are they still arguing, and I don't know if you get into these conversations, are they still arguing about choices made in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, about the original 9 films, especially the original 6? We won't even talk about the post-quills, but...
It's funny
sequels,
because
I should say.
The original trilogy, the original 3, in their original form, which you have to try really hard to
even find them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are considered lawfully perfect, if you will.
They're the canon.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, there's great reverence paid to those original theatrical releases. Those are pretty much untouchable. Now, as soon as the special editions came out in '96, when George Lucas added some CGI and changed a couple things, there's where the divide begins. And then in '99, when The Phantom Menace came out, there is literally a fork in the road. People took a hard left and a hard right.
And are they still talking about that today, you think?
There are still people my age that rage against the... There are less.
Right, yeah.
Because now people Tommy's age and those a little bit older than Tommy that grew up with the prequels, now those are what they remember as children. So the prequels get much more respect today than they did 20 years ago.
Yeah, Jar Jar Binks is not so
maligned.
Maligned.
Oh, absolutely.
Reviled.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
But almost universally, it sounds like the sequels are not... People are not happy about those, or... Kylo and Rey and all that stuff?
I think what it comes down to, it's the internet. It's the internet is what it was not around for the prequel trilogy. The internet just amplifies.
It was just beginning. Yeah.
The internet amplifies conversations that are already being had, and on a YouTube social media side of things, it's more difficult because Then you have, you call him maybe a grifter online. So maybe someone on YouTube figured out that if they say inflammatory things and make a video out of it, they'll get more clicks, which means they get more money.
Yeah.
So that you're battling misinformation in the fandom now, which is crazy.
Yes.
I never thought we'd be in that state with the fandom. But
Also, the sequels suck.
Okay. Well, there's that.
The Force Awakens, we really enjoyed.
Yes,
in the theater and shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we will have spoilers here, so I'm just giving you full. I mean, don't kill off.
Yeah.
Don't kill off Harrison Ford. I'm sorry.
he wanted it though.
Did he really?
He didn't even want to. He didn't even want to be in Return of the Jedi. He wanted to be killed in
originally
Empire.
he thought that the appropriate. He felt that his character's story has ended.
Yeah.
And what better way than to sacrifice himself for his friends?
I mean,
it wasn't just because he hated Star Wars and didn't want to do
right.
it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I want to pivot to Hollywood here. I've got about 6.5 minutes, guys. Again, give us an update on like how many Star Wars projects are there in the realm over there? I mean,
so that's a pretty big issue. I guess big topic right now of conversation is right now. I think they're starting to course correct, but the last 5 years have been a lot of Lucasfilm announcing a lot of series and announcing a lot of movies, showing you a logo, showing you this is this new project we're working on, and then they go nowhere, and we never hear about them again years and years later. And they finally, at Star Wars Celebration in Japan a couple weeks ago, started to course correct that.
Yeah, the first answer to that question is nebulous.
Yeah,
really,
it changes constantly. It has.
But I keep on hearing Andor. It was in third season or something.
Second season.
Second
that's
season?
coming out right now.
Yeah, that's out right now. Yeah,
and that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's pretty much the home of all this. I mean, these budgets have got to be extreme, right?
A couple $100 million for a series usually. Yeah.
Unreal. And you wonder how they make that connection as far as profitability, because for them, for it to be a streaming only scenario, no theater receipts. It's wild, right?
Nobody really knows the real numbers of streaming viewership.
Right.
Those companies protect that. Netflix, everyone. We don't know how many people are actually, and we don't know how. I have no idea how the profitability works or how the money flows in that scene. But real quick, you mentioned Andor, so I just would say if anybody is curious about, so Andor is the mature, grown-up, adult Star Wars that probably my generation was hoping the prequels would have been in 1999. It's adult themed. It's adult paced. It's more realistic, if you will. It's within the Star Wars universe.
Everything feels tangible somehow in a galaxy far, far away.
And it feels dangerous.
Yes.
And you could be sitting on the edge of your seat watching this show if anyone's interested to try it out.
So my understanding is it's really important that people understand where each piece of product that comes out of Lucasfilm fits in the timeline of the Master nine movies. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's
okay. So where does Andor fit?
Andor is interesting. So the first season, I would say, takes place about in universe 5 years before the first Star Wars movie.
So it's before A New Hope. Okay.
And then the second season is broken up into 4 chunks of 3 episodes. Each chunk of 3 takes place they jump a year every 3 episodes. So you close the gap, and then the end of this season that we're in right now will supposedly seamlessly tie into the beginning of the movie Rogue One, which came out in 2016, which Rogue One flows directly into A New Hope.
It's hard for me to understand how a young boy on Tatooine would be at all part of the grand scheme of the Resistance and the Empire. How do they? I mean, it worked beautifully in A New Hope in episode 4, but still. And again, I'm going way in the weeds here, but you know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead, Tom.
So the Andor and what we were talking about with Rogue One, those don't have anything to do with Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
These are more of the socio-political story of the galaxy and how it came to having an empire ruling over it.
Gotcha.
And then what were the repercussions on the democratic societies with the empire now controlling them, and then what do those societies do to fight back?
And that's where you can get these little political nuggets embedded, right?
All day.
Andor is heavy with that.
Is that right?
Very on the nose sometimes.
All right, so I got to ask true believers here: is there too much Star Wars?
Never.
Like, okay. I mean, are we to a saturation? We were getting to a saturation point.
So, what was his name? Chapek, but we call him Paycheck. The
former Disney guy,
Bob Chapek.
Bob Paycheck.
He was the president of Disney.
Yes, after Iger left for the second time,
right,
and then was called back in. Anyway, Chapek wanted to just pump out. He did the same thing with Marvel, and Marvel suffered as well. Just pump it out. We need to show our shareholders that we're going to pump out 30 different, shows, movies, what have you,
in 5 years,
and we're all gonna get rich, But the problem was it ended up being watered down slop that nobody really liked.
So sometimes leaving asking for more. I mean, when you consider the original Marvel, the Avengers leading up to Endgame, I mean, you did have high anticipation for each of those movies, and
Yes.
But then after it was over, and again, spoiler alert, Iron Man dies. I mean, you really saw quality fall off the cliff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what you got to guard against with this series, I would think.
It started well, and then as more stuff started getting pumped out, it became very watered down and diluted, and to the point where, as someone who analyzes Star Wars, you couldn't even keep up. By the time you were finished watching the new show one time, you wanted to do your rewatch, but then the new show's coming out in a week, so you can't even keep up.
Some were simultaneous.
Some came out at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, I got 20 seconds. The animated stuff you guys love, right?
Yeah. Oh,
you
it's
love
amazing.
the Clone Wars.
Honestly, based.
Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Rebels, amazing.
So don't just disregard them if you're a live action fan.
No, the Clone Wars is a requirement.
Yeah.
Quickfill gasoline is made right here in America. United Refining Company, who operates Quickfill, refines its gasoline from North American crude oil in Warren, Pennsylvania. When you buy United Refining Company gasoline at Quickfill, you keep jobs and businesses in America. And you keep American families strong. You don't need to send your money overseas when you buy gasoline. Buy American-made gasoline at Quickfill. Quickfill, driving America.
You have been called
to do good, to feed the hungry,
to love with action,
to be a light in the darkness,
to love your neighbor,
to teach wisdom,
to walk humbly,
to love mercy,
to care for the least of these.
Will you accept the call?
This is our city.
Our mission.
Visit eriecitymission.org/volunteer to accept the call today.
Tom and Tommy Twohig, they are Star Wars super. I mean, it's accurate to say you're super fans.
Yes.
Cultists?
Cultists. I wouldn't go there, but we've been talking. We've been talking about the media. Tommy has a YouTube channel, podcasts, and things. Tom, you were a recent guest there. We've talked about Hollywood, and again, we barely are scratching the surface. I mean, if you go to the Star Wars link on Disney Plus on your smart TV, it's a long list.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot of content. Jen and I just watched everything. We just finished. It took us 2 years to watch all the shows and all the movies. And be caught up.
My word.
And there's still more coming out.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, so that's Hollywood. Let's talk about collecting. And I want to go to you, Tom. Do you remember what your first figurine, your action figure for the Star Wars line was? And when was it?
I don't know when. It's one of those vague. I just remember the moment that even the person who gifted me my first Star Wars action figure has no recollection. I remember I was in the basement of our house on 3rd and East Avenue, and my mom walked down the basement steps with a brown paper grocery bag. And from outside of the bag, she revealed a Greedo action figure. Greedo was my first Star Wars action figure, and I loved it. I loved all the aliens. And actually, fast forward just a few years, Tommy gifted me last year a copy of one of those original Greedo action figures. So he lives on my dresser now.
Okay, so how did you find it? What would be the story of getting a copy of one of the originals?
So there's select places. You have to be very careful with the vintage Star Wars stuff. It's very pricey if you want mint condition stuff.
Were they manufactured in the 70s though, or
yes,
in the
they were.
80s?
70s,
they
and
were.
80s. Yeah, but there are a lot of people that do knockoffs. So you
I was
also
going to say,
bootlegs.
yeah, bootlegs.
So you have to go to toy shows and you have to be very careful. So there's this one that I love to go to. They put it on 3 times a year in Girard, Ohio, called Toy-Hio Toy Show. I usually go there, try 2 or 3 times a year, and there's a couple vendors there that sell exclusively vintage Star Wars, and they're very knowledgeable. They're experts on it, and I was able to pick up a genuine Greedo figure from those guys. Yeah,
and this would be from Episode 4, right? This is from the cantina scene, right?
Yep.
I mean,
that's the one that Han Solo shoots.
Yeah,
in the cantina. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no! You just scratch. You just my brain is itching
first.
right now.
Yeah.
Han not only shot first. Han only shot. No one else shot. And then, then
no
George
grassy
went back
knoll.
and changed it.
There's no grassy
right,
knoll
back
in
into the left.
the cantina. Oh my
Yeah.
word!
Yeah,
that's right.
You know, some of us are just. I guess like when I think about that, I'm so clueless about even Boba Fett and then later on beforehand Jango Fett and all the things. I mean, it's like
Jango Fett, nice reference.
Well,
Deep
that's
knowledge.
a prequel.
Yes,
right?
it is. It is.
But and he shows up in Episode 2, in the Cloud City and things. The what's remarkable to me is you have superstars that show up in the prequels too, right?
Yes, you do.
And so you have, and I don't want to get sucked back into that, but I mean, like, to get a figurine, let's say from of the Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Yep.
What was his?
Mace Windu.
That'd be my
Windu,
favorite
right?
Star Wars character, Mace Windu. Yes.
That's right. That's your email address.
Yes, that's right.
So I mean, so those are even 30 years old now.
Yep.
The originals, right?
Yep, that's the craze right now for my generation. We go to these toy shows. We're not looking for the Kenner stuff so much. Now we're looking for the Hasbro stuff from the 2000s that we grew up with. I pick up stuff new in package, and you trade and you go with your friends. Everybody's looking for something different. A lot of my friends have a focus to their collection. I have a friend who, shout out to 212th Hunter from Wisconsin. He collects only the 212th Attack Battalion of Clone Troopers from the prequel movies and the Clone Wars show. Any memorabilia from that legion, he collects. And so I help look out for him. He knows there are certain things that I'm looking out for from the 2003 Clone Wars micro series, which came out on Cartoon Network in 2003 to 20hazbro. That's what I look for as memorabilia from that show. And we help each other out when we go to these shows.
Somebody had to be smart enough at Hasbro to say, we're going to create this series of action figures, of figurines, of collectibles back 25 years ago, knowing that they'll just, somebody's going to gobble them up. Go back in time. They were gobbled up, put away.
That's funny you say that.
Shout out to Daryl DePriest.
Shout out to Daryl DePriest, the former vice president of global brand management for Star Wars at Hasbro. I got the chance to meet him at ICCCon in Nashville, Tennessee last year, and I got to interview him on my YouTube channel. We talked for over 2 hours, I want to say. Yeah. That was his plan. He came up with a theory called the 20-year rule. He had a degree in neuroscience, I think, before he went to marketing. So he has books that he's written on this where kids that grew up with something and they have toys that they remember from it will come back in their adult life about 20 years later, which is what happened to me and all my friends, and they will be obsessed with it again.
Well, it's like my boys who are in their 30s.
Yep.
they're all about their Legos now.
Yes. Yep.
And they haven't really talked about Pokemon. I mean, they were into that back then. But
Pokemon's my number 2. Yeah.
Is it really your number
Star
2?
Wars, and if I didn't have Star Wars, I'd be Pokemon.
I mean,
yeah.
I used to joke with them. I'd be taking them all in a van. I'm like, you know, you guys are so obsessed with Pokemon. I'm going to create some history cards. We could be talking about Ben Franklin and you know George Washington. That won't ever sell.
Yeah, but do they evolve, and what powers do they have?
Exactly.
Right. Is it super effective?
You know, Ben Franklin with his glasses, right?
Plus 1,000 aura.
So funny. So this was a plan, and we were like, yeah.
It worked.
Count me in.
Well, and the cool thing was last year when we met Daryl DePriest at ICCCon, he said to us, "This is the first time I've ever seen my theory come to a reality in that literally on point, almost 20 years." He said, "You guys are the kids that grew up with these toys, and this is what you're seeking out now, 20 years later." And that was for him like that aha moment, like I was right all those years ago when I came up with that theory.
So when you were young, Tommy, I mean, did you have the presence of mind to say, let me have 2 of these so I can play with one and keep one in a box? Or was it like, do you just keep it in a box? How does that work?
This guy over here next to me poisoned me with that. Yeah.
So you knew.
So for a long time.
You don't want to take the joy away from a 7-year-old, right?
Right.
I mean,
No. But so I would get 1 to rock and 1 to stock. Okay?
Is that what you call it?
That's the phrase. In the
I would
community.
get 2 of
my
everything.
gosh.
Okay. And so that's why I have piles and piles and piles of open action figures, vehicles, ships,
In a
everything
bin,
still
right? Yeah.
in multiple bins. Yes. But then I also kept some carded, but years went by and I didn't have space anymore. We kept having these kid things, you know, that take up all the Star Wars space. So they would just be in bins and in the attic. And I ended up transitioning out of collecting years ago and went into costuming. But I kept some stuff. I just recently passed on the oldest stuff from my collections onto Tommy, and he has that displayed in his Star Wars room because he had somewhere to show it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yep.
Yeah, and you have a whole room.
I do. I have a whole room in my apartment dedicated to Star Wars, and it's one of the biggest draws on my YouTube channel. It's my most popular video on my YouTube channel right now. Yeah, my tour.
Do you have a bent like your buddy in Wisconsin? He's like just solely in on Clone Wars. What is your deal?
I've been poisoned by collecting by my father, so it's like it's this
blaming dad.
It's important to have logic in what you collect. Being a completionist nowadays is not impossible because there's a lot of stuff that there's just companies make like slop sometimes that you just don't really want to buy, like a gold figure or a chrome figure. Who cares about that?
Yeah.
So you want to have logic in what you collect. I collect things from the movies that I like most, from the shows that I like the most, the prequel trilogy, the Clone Wars, and then I get into different scales. There's 12-inch figures that are made in Hong Kong. There's 6-inch figures that are not made by Hasbro, that are made in only Japan, and you have to order them from a website in Japan, and then they ship them.
I mean, they're
to you.
fully licensed from Lucasfilm.
Yes, these are all licensed
but
products.
these are just probably short run deals.
Yeah, they're very limited run because you're looking at a much more premium collector. The audience is an adult.
And
it's an adult.
pretty much everything
audience.
in collections has these kind of elements,
Yes.
right? If you were, collecting teacups, I mean, you're gonna run into the premium level.
Well, and Hasbro has finally started to realize that the collecting community is older now. Okay, they're adults with their own paychecks that can buy these things. It used to be that little Johnny and little Tommy walk down the toy aisle and Grammy buys them a couple. They understand now. That's really not where their revenue is coming from.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the adult collector is driving the bus on the market right now. Yeah.
So is the idea to just continue to collect, or do you ever wean? Like, I mean, at one point you kind of said, I'm going to hand it down. I mean, I guess that could be a legacy thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I have kids, if any of them show enough interest in it, I will definitely pass it down, and then it will go on to... And that's the beauty of Star Wars. It just has this hold on you, this generational passing of the torch. that you don't see with any other franchise on the level that you see it with Star Wars.
I mean, if they don't show interest, you can always adopt them out. You know?
That's true. That's true. Get another one.
Plenty of
Yeah.
Well, and that was the other thing is like, when do you start showing your collection? Like, do you have extras that you would go out and show, or how does that work?
It's, I mean, well, and the beauty of my YouTube channel is I'm getting to the point now where my online stuff is funding my hobby, which is absolutely crazy, and I'm very blessed to be able to.
You're
do
talking about money from YouTube because of the
money
number
from YouTube, Patreon.
watchers,
People
Patreon.
buy merch with my logo on it from my
Sure.
YouTube channel. And as you have kids, I feel like it comes in waves. You start with toys that are marketed for preschoolers, and then you work your way up. Like I had, as a kid, Galactic Heroes was a kid, almost like a Little People, but Star Wars line. And then you work your way up to Legos and then action figures. And then as you grow up, the things that you collect kind of grow with you. I remember in high school, I collected Star Wars Lego sets for a little bit after I got my first job. And then in college, I got into like the Funko Pops, those little like vinyl figures, the bobbleheads. And then I went back to action figures, and I never looked back. So it's constantly evolving and changing.
So yeah, what is the feeling from the purists about the Lego thing with Star Wars? Because it's pretty extensive, isn't it?
Lego's like getting really expensive. I think that's the big issue with Lego right now, especially Star Wars, because the licensing fees for Star Wars are higher than like any other franchise out there.
Plus, aren't we importing these from Europe?
Yeah.
I mean, Legos are made in Europe, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So there might be tariffs and whatever. I remember when, again, 25, 30 years ago, you're talking, the Millennium Falcon as a Lego. That was a massive ticket item.
Yeah. Now there's an $800 version that's like the size of this table. Yeah.
$800 for Legos.
Yes, for a Millennium Falcon that's like 3 feet long. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
All right. Well, we've got just about 5 minutes with Tom and Tommy Twohig again on our special Star Wars broadcast, May 2nd, celebrating May 4th. Let's talk about, you called it costuming, cosplay, what have you. I mean, tell me what you do with that, Tom.
Hey, shout out to the 501st Legion. I got them on the back of my shirt right now.
Yeah,
the Clone Trooper Detachment. Yep.
So this is a local group.
No, it's a
501st.
worldwide group.
Worldwide group.
Yes. So the 501st is what 501 for ST 501st Legion is a global costuming group that is Lucasfilm's preferred costuming group. Okay, so there are two preferred. Well, there's actually more than just two. Yeah. But if you want to talk about Star Wars bad guys costumes, it would be the 501st Legion. If you want to talk about Star Wars good guy costumes, that would be the Rebel Legion. So,
makes sense, yeah.
I've been a member of the Rebel Legion since 1999, I think, maybe 2000. And then I joined the 501st Legion, which a lot of people associate with like stormtrooper costumes, armored costumes, things like that. So the 501st Legion, Albin Johnson, that started the 501st Legion, did it because he and a couple friends had made some stormtrooper costumes to go to the 1996 special editions of Star Wars. And
so they were showing up at the movies as stormtroopers.
Yes.
And these are homemade costumes.
Yes. So parts, they weren't not. There was nothing store bought. Okay, they had to make everything sourced from different areas, what have you. But fast forward to basically currently the 501st Legion, we do a lot of charity events,
right?
And we do Lucasfilm marketing stuff. They like us because we volunteer for free. There's no money involved with these costuming groups. Everything is volunteer. We're not allowed, actually, to accept money. If people insist, then we ask that they give us donations of toys when we do children's hospital visits and give the kids Star Wars toys. So, but it's basically a charity, professional level costuming group.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's got to be really rewarding. Now, tell me what it takes. Okay, so are you a stormtrooper? Is that what you're?
We are clone troopers.
You're clone troopers.
Yes.
A better class of soldier.
Yeah, it's basically like a stormtrooper, but 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
See, again, this is my lack of knowledge. I always thought that the stormtroopers that you saw in episode 4, 5, and 6 were clones. Anyway.
Initially, that was George Lucas's. If you look at some of the old action figures, it does mention stormtroopers being clones.
Okay.
And the current canon on that is that some maybe are still old, very old clones. Okay.
Gotcha. And how do you get what's the fella that the British actor that is a stormtrooper in the episode 7? Who am I thinking of?
John Boyega.
John Boyega. Yeah.
Yep,
How do you come up with that as a clone? He's not a clone, I guess.
No,
he's just a stormtrooper. He signed up
in universe.
Well, they were
like
forced into
kidnapped as babies and raised in the military. Yeah.
Is that how that works?
All
right. So, and Tom, okay, so you are a clone trooper as well.
Yes,
right?
I am. Arc Commander Blitz, who is also the mascot of the channel.
Commander Blitz.
He is he's created. I'll make this quick. He's created about. Blitz, a football reference. He is themed after the Pittsburgh Steelers because the creator of the Clone Wars show, who made that show with George Lucas, Dave Filoni, hails from Pittsburgh, went to Edinburgh University, graduated from there, and now he is like second in command at Lucasfilm.
Did he come up through animation?
Yes, he did. He worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender before he did the Clone Wars.
King of the Hill before that.
Yeah, because he loved the Steelers and the Penguins so much, he made this clone trooper, Arc Commander Blitz, and he's a Steelers reference. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah. And so that's the character. With the help of my father, we made that costume together. Bought some parts from different people all over the world, and my dad also makes some parts himself. And
are you 3D print them, or how do you do them?
No, I use just sheet material and just do everything by hand and just a couple simple machines.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So talk about where we would see, because I was mentioning as I was promoting you guys that you'll do the Erie Comic-Con and so something like that.
Comic-Con Erie, Zubu, the Erie Otters Star Wars night. That's just local stuff.
Seawolves.
Seawolves games. If anybody wants something local, they have to reach out to the 501st. We don't really do like kids' birthday parties,
right?
And stuff like that. But big charity events.
Local so the 501st Legion is the worldwide organization. Our local chapter is Star Killer Garrison.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how many of you guys are out there?
Star Killer is growing right now a lot.
Yeah. And are there men and women involved?
Yes. Yeah.
The last I checked, there's over 20,000 worldwide members.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you mentioned you're part of the 501st, but what about this Rebel Legion? So will we see like a Han and
they work
Luke?
together. Yeah.
I mean, people will cosplay Han and Luke and Leia and all that.
Yeah,
and
Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Oh if you're any good guy, from the franchise, then you're considered Rebel Legion.
How about that like fish commander? What's his name?
Admiral Akbar. He's one of my favorites.
Yes.
I haven't seen one locally.
You've seen him like somebody's wearing that nationally?
Absolutely.
Someone
absolutely.
has it.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yes.
This is why it's like you opened up a door to a whole new world.
Yeah.
Or really universe.
Joel, I'm trying really hard not to slip into this hole that's gaping underneath me when you bring up these topics. I'm like, keep it surface level.
Okay, I have like 1 minute left on this conversation. I need somebody to give me super legit Yoda talk. Who's up for it?
Like in character?
Yes.
I don't know, dude.
Can you do Yoda? Can you do Yoda?
My cootie voice might actually help that. I don't know.
Okay, try it.
Okay. Let me try this, I will.
I love it.
Lost a planet? Master Obi-Wan has.
How embarrassing.
See, I knew I'd get you going. That's fabulous. So what are you going to be doing on the 4th? What do you guys do? Is there a tradition?
Well, if I'm able to get the day off work, I'm going to be going around to a couple events. GameStop is doing an event where if you go and buy this one helmet, you get a challenge coin. So I'm going to be doing that, looking for some new action figures, probably doing a vlog for my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Too bad that helmet's garbage.
Yeah, it is what it is. Price you pay,
Tommy Twohig, thank you guys. This is so much fun.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@talkerie.com.